podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No breaks. No breaks. No fear. No fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
It's hotting up in the Sports Insure Premiership and the Cab Direct Championship in the final regular week of league fixtures, and the quest for the playoffs hots up. We've got reaction from all of Monday's meetings in the Sports Insure Premiership as Leicester have one hand on that final place in the top four in the Premiership. We'll also hear from a few special guests as well, including Thomas Jorgensen, who reflects on his season-ending injuries.
I did lay in the ambulance and I thought, you've had enough, but after a day or two, it's like somebody switched the light, and I had different thoughts about getting back as soon as possible, really.
Steve Worrell reflects on his Cardiff appearance in the Speedway Grand Prix.
I woke up the next morning and I wish I could have redone the whole day again, because there's certain things I do differently and certain things that I would handle things in a different way,
British Speedway legend Chris Morton joins us to talk about his mighty mission bike ride and the work of the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund.
I think we all have a bit of a responsibility to consider that these guys are taking risks for our entertainment.
And Edinburgh's Paco Castagna joins us ahead of a playoff-defining double-header at Armadale.
We need to win and try to clinch that spot for the playoffs, and then obviously we all know that once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
All this and more on this week's episode of British Speedway's official podcast.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along to this week's episode then of the official British Speedway podcast. No breaks, no fear. Lots on the way, but we'll start with the Premiership action from Monday night, where the Leicester Lions moved to the brink of the Sports Insure Premiership playoffs by taking 2 league points on a night of high drama at Monmore Green. The sides drew 45 all with Wolves after 15 races for the second time this season at Monmore, with Max Frick completing a 15-point maximum for the Lions by passing home skipper Sam Masters on the last lap of Heat 15. Frick then teamed up with Richard Lawson against Sam Masters and Ryan Douglas in the Superheat to add a priceless additional point to the Lions' tally. Now, it means that Leicester dropped to 5th in the table after Ipswich took maximum points at Kings Lynn, but the result now means that the Lions only need the aggregate point from their trip to Peterborough on Thursday, where they start that meeting with a 24-point advantage. We will soon hear from Richard Lawson on that sensational Superheat victory. But first of all, the team boss of the Leicester Lions, Stuart Dixon, with Dave Rowe.
Stuart Dixon, I think I've aged 10 years watching that. I mean, that had a meeting that had everything. I mean, a great battling effort by your team to come back time and time again, and that Superheat victory.
Yeah, I think we deserved it, I've got to be honest. I thought we were the better team tonight. We came here a few weeks ago and I thought we kind of threw it away, shall we say. I wouldn't say we were robbed. 2 good teams tonight. It takes 2 good teams for a good meeting. We obviously had to go for it, we had to go for it. Bold decision to keep Richard Lawson in the runoff, but he was angry after getting excluded in one of his races. Max Frick, what can you say? Exceptional. He almost stopped, didn't he, up the top end there, protecting the rider. But very pleased. It's Louis Kerr come in, good debut. Never fancied the run-off. Said he doesn't do pressure races. Because I said, well, it's between you and I threw Richard back out again. Max was obviously going to come in, and the plan was this time was to pin Sam if we could. It's to pin him, not go round him. And Richard had to make it off of 4. Both done their jobs, and they got a result. And you could hear the jubilation in the camp and on the terraces. We've gave ourselves a chance on Thursday night at Peterborough, and we need to take it. We need to grab it.
I mean that Superheat result was massive, because had you not got it, you'd have had to go to Peterborough and not lose the meeting. They're strong at home now, but now you can go, I wouldn't say on the defensive, but you only need 34 race points on Thursday.
There's a different way you can look at it, yes. We need to do what we call a solid, steady, professional job. But Peterborough are a much improved side now, so I still know it's going to be very, very tough. They've got a very good side. Rob Lyons sent me through the team, I think it was yesterday or today, and you look at it and you go, wow, that's a strong team. So we know that they'll come out with all guns blazing. our confidence, as I said to you at our last meeting, confidence is high in the camp now. You see the difference when it comes to this time of season. There's a different atmosphere. You can't get it in June or July. I don't know why, you just can't. All of a sudden, you mentioned the word playoffs. Riders are saying, what's the score at Ipswich? That's very uncommon during the meeting. But I felt two good teams tonight, but I thought Leicester were the better team, and I think they thoroughly deserved the 2 points.
Can you clarify that exclusion for Richard? I mean, there was the red lights came on a couple of times. We haven't got a clue what was going on. Apparently, warming a tyre off the track, was that the offence?
Well, this is what I've been told, but for me, unless the clerk of the course sees that, or the pits marshal, and puts it through to the referee, I don't think it's right that some staff member for Wolves can tell somebody. In my eyes, if the referee's not seen it, or the two guys that run the pits have not seen it, then Richard Lawson should not be excluding that race, and I told the referee my thoughts on that one.
OK, and a quick word for Drew Kemp. I know he came off in Heat 14, but he really was the difference. He kept you in the meeting, double figures of reserve. He really was superb.
It was fantastic. I said to him after he won Heat 2, he now has to go on and win other races, because he's got a habit of winning that and then maybe running a couple of zeros after that. And I said to him, you need to go over this, you think, inferiority complex that these Heat leaders, because they've got a certain number on their back, number 5 or whatever it would be. He was out gating them tonight. He was riding hard into the bends tonight, and I said to him, let them know, if you make starts, they'll know that they can't push you about the way it was maybe happening before. He was excellent, he was good, he was vocal, something you don't get off of Drew Kemp, but all of it does, as I say, it brings it in the playoffs. But he played a very, very big part in us getting the win tonight. Yes.
On to Thursday. Just hope everyone stays fit over the next 2 days.
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to be watching on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Well, one or two of my guys, I'll be there on Wednesday. But that's the thing. You're looking to make sure they're okay. We can enjoy the night. The camp's buzzing, and it's now in our own hands. I wanted that. That's all I wanted, to be in our own hands. We now have the opportunity to go and get what we need on Thursday night, and hopefully we will. I'm sure there'll be a big Leicester support, back in his own to make history. This club has not reached the playoffs, since the return, obviously Premiership days. So we want to do it, and fingers crossed. I'm having the same sort of conversation with you on Thursday.
Thanks, Stuart. Well done. We'll see you on Thursday.
Cheers.
Stuart Dixon chatting with Dave Rowe. That fixture, by the way, will be live on BSN, British Speedway Network, on Thursday between the Peterborough Panthers and the Leicester Lions, to see if Leicester can indeed claim their place in the playoffs on the very last meeting. Let's hear from the opposing team manager now, Peter Adams. His side, of course, already assured of the playoffs, but another superheat at Monmore between the two sides, and Peter's been chatting with Ryan Guest.
Yet another superheat here at Monmore Green, and from a neutral perspective, first and foremost, it's been another thrilling night of Speedway here at Monmore Green.
Yeah, fantastic match. Leicester obviously came, very determined to get the points they needed, and they did, courtesy of that superheat. I think they need a point at Peterborough now on Thursday to get in the playoffs. So well done to them, but at the end of the day, after 15 heats it was a draw, so our unbeaten home record is intact, and we're the only team in this league, to achieve that.
Yeah, rarely for here at Monmore Green as well. Not too many race winners for Wolverhampton as well, dominated by the away side, and certainly they were a bit sharper at the starts for the first half of the meeting in particular.
Yeah, that was the separating factor for sure, but we did get to grips with it a bit better later on. But there were one or two disappointing performances in our team, and that's where the points were lost.
Nevertheless, obviously it's a few weeks break now. It's looking like it could be a 3-week break until you're back here at Monmore Green, but nevertheless, as you always say, it's a clean slate when that playoff fixture does come around.
Yeah, and there's very little you can do to influence proceedings. Everybody will be fired up for it, obviously, and we're looking forward to that match, obviously, with relish.
Since the announcement was made last Monday, confirmed as well, that obviously no Wolverhampton Speedway in 2024, we haven't heard from yourself personally. How have you taken news? Because obviously this has been your life as well.
Well, it's hugely disappointing, obviously, but I mean, it's a business decision by the landlords, and there's nothing we can do about that in the short term, but hopefully in the long term we'll be able to resurrect ourselves, somewhere else. Yeah,
and obviously people talk about fairy tale endings, and it certainly would be if Wolves could go out on a high from Monmore Green by lifting the league this year.
Well, that was our intent from the very first day of the season, and for the 6th time in 7 seasons, I think we're in the playoffs, and now As Freddie Mercury used to say, it's in the lap of the gods.
Pete Adams there, quoting a bit of Freddie Mercury. I'm pretty sure, I have this hunch, that I don't think it's the first time that Pete Adams has quoted Freddie Mercury in an interview. I'm going to have to go back through them now and see if there is a theme there. Let's hear from the rider who won it then for Leicester on the night in that superheat. Along with Max Frick, Richard Lawson has been speaking to Dave Rowe.
Richard, a massive superheat win for the Lions. Certainly improved your playoff prospects, no end, but what a superheat that was. What a finale.
Yeah, we had to leave it to a superheat, didn't we? It was, tensions were high, and I know what I'd done wrong in Heat 15, and I was kicking myself from that. So, when Stuart gave me a chance to have another go, which not a lot of people would have, I was fired up for it and glad to bring it home.
We'll take it back to Heat 13 and then exclusion, and I've been around a long time. I've seen lots of things happen, but I think that's a new one on me. Warming a tyre on concrete off the track, is that the offence?
Apparently so, yeah. I don't know how the referee can see it that far into the pits, and a very, very bizarre one. I was just sat there waiting on the track, and I'm like, you're out. I was like, oh, okay. So that also fired me up for that last one.
And what a job done by Max Frick. He scored a maximum himself on track, and he was clearly keen to clamp Sam Masters and give you that run round the outside.
Unbelievable. He had speed all night, and we just knew he was going to win the race, and it was just for Heat 15. I was like, you take the best gate. All I got to do is try and beat one rider. You're going to win it, and he just could put the bike anywhere. Heat 15, round turns 3 and 4, he was going so slow around the inside, and I'm trying my hardest to stay with him, and hey, what a teammate.
It's not done yet, but it makes life easier for you. You've got to go to Peterborough on Thursday, who are a much improved team, but you need, I think it's 34 race points rather than trying to win there, so that must make the job more straightforward.
It does take a bit of pressure off, yes. Still, they're I think, an informed team, aren't they? They're a lot better than when we went there last, but we've come here and got the win where nobody else could, so we're going to carry some confidence into that, and I think we really deserve to be in them playoffs, and we're going to give it our all.
Let's hear now then from Steve Worrell. He's had obviously a very big weekend, and later on he'll tell us about his Cardiff experience. But first of all, to Monday and that clash against Leicester at Monmore.
Well, first and foremost, Steve, it's been another entertaining night of Speedway for the people on the terraces, and these Super Heats becoming quite a regular thing at Monmore Green.
Yes, as riders, it's not what we want. We'd much prefer to have plain sailing, a nice advantage or a nice cushion going all the way through the meeting. But Leicester, I think they had a bit between the teeth tonight. They have big playoff push for them. I think tonight was very important in their their campaign to try and get into the playoffs. So they was on a mission. You could see that even there was tension in the pits. You could see it from the off, so they fair play to them. They rode exceptionally well. They'll definitely give us a good kick up the backside, but maybe it's what we needed going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, because at the end of the day, Wolves' place already secure from last week. Like I say, Leicester had got to get something here tonight to keep their hopes alive, so maybe important not to dwell on it too much, but at the same time that there are lessons that can be learned ahead of the playoffs in about 3 weeks' time.
That's it. You can look at it two ways. You can either go into the playoffs on the back of a big win, and maybe be a little bit complacent, or take it as a big confidence boost, or you can go into it off the back of a loss like that and make sure that when we come back in them playoffs we're fired up and we're ready to do the job.
Obviously there's determination from what happened in the semi-finals last year, because everyone knows that was not the way you wanted last season to end, but particularly with the news that's come out from Wolverhampton this season, particularly last Monday, confirmation that there is going to be no Wolverhampton Speedway next year, that there does seem that extra bit of determination from within the group now to make it a successful ending here at Monmore Green.
Yeah, and that's it. I think that's the feeling from the camp. We know that this is going to be the last year here now, so we've got a big chance to kind of give Wolverhampton the send-off it deserves, and if we can sign out by winning the league, how great would that be? So we'll all be pushing for that, certainly.
And for yourself individually, obviously it's sad as well, because after so many years at Belle Vue, you've come here to Wolves, thought you'd found yourself a new home and going to be on the move again next season now.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habits. I'm loyal to my clubs. that's the kind of rider I am. I like to, not get comfortable, but find a home and and make it that. So yeah, sad that that's going to come to an end, and I've got to figure out between now and obviously March of where I go to next, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, still 2 meetings on the road to come, starting at Sheffield on Thursday, looking very much like it could be a Sheffield Wolves semi-final once again. So you don't know, there might be one or two things Sheffield do differently to the track ahead of the semi-finals. Nevertheless, it's going to be a good run out for the boys.
Yeah, and the issue we have, which we struggled a little bit with tonight, was just the weather today. With it being so hot yesterday and today. It's really hard to get that moisture in, and you could see we were struggling for dirt out wide, which kind of it plays into the away riders' hands then, which I'm not making excuses because it's the same for everybody, but maybe Sheffield will have that issue as well. Who knows? We'll go there. We spoke about it before the meeting started tonight, that Thursday is very important. We've got to make sure that if we don't win, we take as much from it as we can. If there's anything we want to try, if there's something that we want to figure out, then is the time to do it, because we know that there's a very good chance that we're going back there in the playoffs. So, got to make it count.
Yeah, reaction to come from the East of England Arena in just a few moments. First of all, though, to the Adrian Flux Arena, where Ipswich got their job done and did their bits in their quest for the playoffs in the Sports Insure Premiership with a 46-44 win at local rivals, the Kings Lynn Stars. But now, as you've just been hearing, they are reliant on Peterborough for a big favour on Thursday. The Witches are up to 4th in the table, level on points with Leicester as it stands, with a superior race points difference. But the Lions have one match remaining. They only need the aggregate point when they travel to the East of England Arena to snatch that final playoff place, and they have a 24-point lead at this moment in time. Now, should Leicester fail to keep on to that 24-point lead against Peterborough, then of course it will be the Ipswich Witches that would qualify for the playoffs in the Sports Insure Premiership. But long way to go yet. Back to the meeting on Monday, Emil Sayfutdinov and Jason Doyle collected a crucial 3-3 after Robert Lambert had got ahead in Heat 15 at the Adrian Flux Arena, with the Witches going into the last race 2 points up after a close fought meeting. Sayfutdinov on 14 points dropped his only point in that race. Jason Doyle adding 10+2, Captain Danny King scoring 10, Robert Lambert scoring 15 from 7 rides for the Stars, but suffered 2 pieces of mechanical misfortune, and the home side also scored big at reserve, with skipper Simon Lambert racking up 15+2 and Anders Rowe adding 9+2. Well, we'll hear from a few of those involved right now on the podcast, and coming soon we will hear from both Anders Rowe and we'll hear from Danny King. But first of all, the two team managers, beginning with Richie Hawkins, who knows his side have done all they can in their quest for the playoffs.
Delighted with the boys, got the win. That's what we needed to do. They tried all the tricks, as you'd expect they do, and they have done all season, but they haven't been able to beat us, so yeah, delighted.
And of course, it's really a transformed side from Lynn. Robert Lambert seemed to push some great heats between Doyley, Emil and Robert as well.
Yeah, well, you got the three of the best riders in the world there, so you're going to get great racing, and they certainly did. And obviously the Kings Lynn's reserves were superb, like Rambo's having the best season of his life, and Anders has hit real good form, so yeah, nice to see for them, but we managed to get there, and I thought Keenan did great. Danny 3 wins, so we backed the team up well.
Now, playoffs. Of course, there has just been a result come in from Wolverhampton versus Leicester. Leicester have won their Super Heat. Obviously, it impacts Ipswich as well in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, that means they need to get the bonus point at Peterborough now. Leicester, when they go there, I think that's Thursday. So when they go there on Thursday, they need to get, and they've got a massive lead. So yeah, unless they get hammered on Thursday, then we'll be out of the playoffs. So just the cup final to go, but you never know. Peterborough are a very good team now, and I know they've hammered Sheffield tonight. So hopefully they can do the same again on Thursday to Leicester, and then we can get in.
Yeah, it'd be great if Ipswich could actually gate crash to the playoffs. But let's just focus, just if I may, just on Monday next week, first round of the Knockout Cup final. Different team to which you saw last time at Sheffield. Thoughts on that match coming ahead?
Yeah, we go Sheffield. We've been obviously twice in the league this year, not got great results, but I think we've not done ourselves justice. We've been in the meeting both times and then dropped away at the end and not been able to put everything all together. So we should go to Sheffield looking to win. We're in great form, so let's go Sheffield looking to win that meeting, and let's win the cup. It's been a long time for Ipswich not to have won the Knockout Cup, and I think we're far too good a team to walk away without any trophies at the end of the year. So, you know, we can win the cup. That's great. Two cup competitions in 2 years, and then we'll go again. You know, if we're not in the playoffs, we'll go again next year for the league.
Yeah, so there's Richie Hawkins of the Ipswich Witches, and indeed, as you heard there, they've still got the Premiership Knockout Cup to play for, which that final happens next week, Monday and Thursday, between the Sheffield Tigers and the Ipswich Witches. Sheffield on the Monday, Ipswich on the Thursday for the second leg. So that is still certainly a possibility of silverware for the Witches. Let's hear from Dave Hoggart then, team manager of the Kings Lynn Stars, on a very narrow defeat, but certainly you've got to say Kings Lynn have got going over the last few weeks.
We'd lose heavily at home. Some were saying by as many as 20 points. We lost by 2 points. It's a great performance. I'm absolutely delighted, really. Even though we lost, I'm still delighted at the team effort, everybody pulling together. I think everybody saw we had a couple of mishaps with Robert mechanically. He had 2 failures, which meant he had to push home for a point. But Ipswich are a good side, they're a strong side, they desperately need the points to get them into the playoffs. I don't think we begrudge them that, really. It was a good sporting contest.
Yeah, and obviously looking at that, the crowds tonight seemed to pick up that Emma was in town, Jason was in town, really a lot of crowd interaction.
Without any shadow of a doubt. I mean, the local derbies always bring a good gate, but there's been a little bit of needle because we had to call it off the other week. And, they were a little bit miffed about that, so Richie Hawkins did a fabulous press release where he criticised us, and of course that stirs things up with the people, and of course more people paid to come through the gate. Fabulous business.
Brilliant business.
Richie can do that as much as he likes for us.
And Dave Hogarth into 2024, are you coming back?
I don't know yet. I mean, there's lots of things that go on. I mean, traditionally, the team manager's job here has belonged to Rob Lyon, who's promoter at Peterborough. Everybody knows that Peterborough's not going to run next year. So, I'm half expecting Rob to come back. I agreed to do it just till the end of the season to step in. A little bit of crisis management, for want of a better expression. Keith's got Rob and Keith has got Dale. So next year, who knows?
Well, despite obviously Lynn just losing out tonight, it's still a great performance and great to see that Lynn took it to Ipswich, as it were.
It is, and if we could have had this team working like that all season, with Nikolai back in without a broken neck, I think we'd have been seeing good meetings week after week after week, nip and tuck all the way, might win them all, might lose some, doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's Dave Hoggart there, and Dave talking about Thomas Jorgensen in that piece. We'll hear from Thomas Jorgensen in the next part of this podcast. Good little update with Thomas on what he's been through and his prospects moving forward. Also some good news coming out from that fixture as well on Monday night, with Buster Chapman confirming the Kings Lynn Stars will be at the tapes in 2024. So Kings Lynn definitely back for 2024, which is fantastic news. Let's hear from 2 riders involved then. It was a busy night for both Danny King and Anders Rowe on the respective sides of the pits. Anders Rowe for the Kings Lynn Stars, scoring 9+2. Danny King for the Ipswich Witches, and he's been speaking, in fact they've both been speaking, to Mike Boswell.
Danny, was a pretty close call tonight, your view, and obviously it really makes it pretty hard now for the playoffs from what we can see.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough task, Kings Lynn. I know they've had a tough year, but they've strengthened up and they're a solid outfit, and we knew it was going to be hard. They pushed us all the way and obviously went down to a last heat decider. So it's great to get the win, and now we're just patiently watching to see what happens with Leicester.
Yeah, very much so. And for you seem to really suit the track conditions. Unbeaten after 3 rides tonight. Is it a track you like?
Yeah, it's always got grip on it, which isn't the easiest to ride, but it just suits me. I like grippy tracks, and yeah, it was a good night for me. Shame about my last one, I didn't make a great start, which was frustrating, but to come away with 10 points from 4 rides, I'm happy.
And just finally, now we're on to the Knockout Cup Monday, this next Monday, and then obviously Thursday. Thoughts on that for the Witches?
Yeah, 2 more tough meetings, but I think we deserve to be in the final, and we're on a good run of form at the moment, so we need to go there and show what it's all about and try and win some silverware.
So Mike Boswell with Anders. Anders, good to see you back here at Lynn tonight. How was your night?
Yeah, it was good. Progressing every time I come back, and tried a different engine tonight, and it took me a while. When the track got a little bit slicker, it took me a couple of races to set it up, but other than that, it was good.
And of course, tonight also a win over Doyley. Must have felt good.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really realise it. I did it until that happened. Until I looked back on the last lap, and I was like, oh. So yeah, it was really good. Experienced rider, and I'm starting to get them sort of beating them sort of riders now. So that's awesome for me, and I'm improving every week.
And of course, just reflecting, appreciate weekend pretty damn tough with the Cardiff GP, but must feel good to come back to this after the disappointment at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I was in a good second, and it was pretty much guaranteed in Cardiff that I had the second basically in the bag. And my engine let out, and it blew up. So that stuff happens in Speedway. You can't go out your whole career without blowing anything up. If you do, then you're a lucky person. You live and learn, but I had a massive experience from it, and hopefully next year I can go there and not blow up an engine and win the race.
Yeah, that would be ideal, wouldn't it? Because it certainly looked to be a fairly expensive one for Anders Rowe on Saturday night. We'll hear more about Cardiff and Steve Worrell's experience in a few moments. But first of all, let's reflect on the meeting on Monday at Peterborough up against Sheffield. They kept up their excellent run of late, the Panthers, with a 53-37 win over the Sheffield Tigers to move off the bottom of the Sports Insure Premiership table. The Panthers covered well for the absence of Niels Christian Iversen, who is out due to injury, and also so Artem Laguta ruled out after 3 rides with an ankle injury after a tangle with his own teammate Chris Harris. Benjamin Basso getting 12, Ben Cook 10+1, topping the Panthers score chart as their reserves dominated. Cook's total being added to by rising star Jordan Jenkins on 9+2. Tobias Mujolak piled up the points with 16 for the Tigers, but the absence of Ty Woofenden a big concern for the Ollerton side ahead of the playoffs. In a moment we'll hear from Rob Lyon. First of all, Sheffield manager Simon Stead speaking to Hayley Bromley on BSN.
We were beaten by the better team tonight, and we have to sometimes hold your hand up and say we weren't good enough, and we weren't. We were missing the brilliance of Ty Woofenden. The display that he put on last time he was here could have made all the difference, but he isn't here, and we weren't able to cover him, and we suffered for that. So, fair play to Rob and his boys. They got the job done. We need to regroup. We need a better performance on Thursday, and then I look forward to the playoffs.
Rob, 3 points in the bag tonight. Playoffs out of reach, but still, you must be happy with that.
Yeah, very happy. I mean, like we said when we had this team sorted, the aim was to win, the majority of our home matches, and so far we've done that.
Absolutely.
And it's going good. So we've got 2-3 more left, and if we can continue in that vein, then that'll finish it on a nice note.
Definitely, and you touched on it just before heat number 15 there. You compensated beautifully for the absence of Niels Christian Iversen, and in heat number 13 you must be proud of Jordan Jenkins after Artem Laguta unfortunately withdrew. But any update on what's happening with Artem? We know he took a bit of a knock in heat number 10.
Yeah, the ankle's swollen up. I think he went out with adrenaline in that rerun and came back in, and the ankle was swollen, and the medics advised that he gets it checked out, maybe x-rayed, which I think he's going to do tomorrow, and then we'll make a call on it from there, really.
So we can't really say for certain if he'll be with you on Thursday, but we're keeping our fingers crossed that he will be.
He certainly wants to be here, but yeah, we've got to wait and see tomorrow, really.
Well, I mean, to have to compensate for that in the late stages, I mean, the margin in the end, 53-37, perfect score, really.
Yeah, comfortable, and I said when we rode Sheffield here last time, we were looking to get the bonus point, and whereas in the past we can't buy a win, so it's just a confidence thing, and like I say, the boys are going well as a team, and other teams are going to come here now and have been doing and thinking, wow, Peterborough looks strong now, maybe one of the strongest in the league, and we're going to finish near the bottom, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, hugely frustrating for Rob Lyon. You can imagine how the league table might have looked if Kings Lynn and Peterborough started the season, how they're ending it, because talk about topsy-turvy seasons, but both of the sides have been on terrific form lately. Let's hear now, just to round off this section, from Steve Worrell of the Wolverhampton Wolves, who got his opportunity to race on the world's biggest stage in the Speedway Grand Prix at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff on Saturday. It was an evening of mixed fortunes nervous with a tumble in his first ride, but eventually getting some points on the board, and certainly an experience he has learned a lot from. Let's hear from Steve Worrell with Ryan Guest.
Let's reflect on Saturday at Cardiff as well. Obviously, the Grand Prix experience in front of that crowd at the Principality Stadium. First and foremost, before we come on to the racing itself, what was it like to actually be involved in the end?
It's just something that you can't really describe. It's even just from the organising things for the practice. You get in the pits and everyone's there super early, and there's so much to do. And I feel like over both days it's been so exhausting. Because there's just so much to do, and then you've got to go out and race. In front of all the fans and deal with all that emotion. It's a tough weekend, but really opened my eyes to we'll all sit on the sofa on a Saturday with a takeaway and watch a Grand Prix, and you sit there and you think, be all right, but no, it makes you realise that, like you see Max tonight. Max is a Grand Prix rider, and he was untouchable, and that's the level that you're dealing with. Personally, I was, I can look back on it now and think, I would have done this, or maybe I should have done this. And, literally, I woke up the next morning and I wish I could have redone the whole day again, because there's certain things I do differently, and certain things that I would handle things in a different way, and not so much that, it's the mental side of it as well. You sit on that, the thing before where you sit with the helmet colours on and all that, and you're off gate 4 and you've got Bartosz Marzik on 3 and maybe Freddie Lindgren on 2, and it's getting round that mentally, which is hard. I'm used to being in the Championship and in the Premiership, and you don't see them guys, and then all of a sudden you're sat there, this person who you've watched on a Saturday with a takeaway, suddenly you sat next to him, which it's that getting over that mentally. And I felt like as the night went on, I relaxed into it a little more, and kind of I do respect the riders, obviously. Of course we do. They're the guys we all look up to, but at that level you have to lose respect for them. They become opponents, they become the enemy basically, and you slowly have to start losing respect for them. And I felt like as the night went on, I kind of you'd sit next to them guys and they wouldn't be, it's such a body, you slowly start to get over that, and that's where I go back to. I wish when I woke up, I wish I could do it all again, because I wouldn't be looking at it like that. It'd be different.
Like, you didn't want it to be a one-off anyway, but because of the way you're speaking there, that must make you strive and even more determined to make sure it does happen again.
That's it. Attention turns now to next year. British final and get that wild card, and that's my plan again.
Yeah, and a word on the event itself. Obviously, there was a lot of talk, a lot of speculation in the build-up, what the crowd was going to be, etc. But nevertheless, a great turnout, a great atmosphere, and the racetrack was superb as well. Yeah,
we were seeing rumours before that only 7,000 people had bought tickets or whatever, but it looked like a healthy crowd to me. There was plenty of people there. Just trying to walk from the hotel to the stadium, that in itself was a big job. Getting stopped all the time, which is brilliant. It's new, I absolutely loved it. There was plenty of people there. It was. You can't say that it was a bad event. The track was fantastic. That you could see that they've learnt a lot from last year. Warsaw this year they had that right. The track was perfect, and I think they've brought a lot of that to here. And there wasn't no ruts, wasn't no holes. The racing was brilliant. There was a lot of passing, and the crowd enjoyed it. So the date's already out for next year, so hopefully everyone gets behind it.
And that date for your diary is the 17th of August 2024 for the FIM Speedway Grand Prix of Great Britain back at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. You've got almost a year's notice, so plenty of time to make your plans. So 17th of August next year, Cardiff. It was a terrific event this year. If you didn't attend, you did miss out, because the racing was great. The track was unbelievable, really. The quality of the racing we saw. And next year, I'm told the track will be even bigger still, so further improvements to come. Do not miss it. added in your diary at the very least so that you don't forget. OK, next part of No Breaks, No Fear, we will hear from Thomas Jorgensen. Quite an emotional interview, actually, with Thomas Jorgensen, detailing his injuries that he sustained. He had a broken neck recently, and that has put paid to his season, of course, but we'll hear about his current progress as he battles back to fitness. And also we're going to catch up with Paco Castagna in the airport as he gets ready to jet in for a very busy week of meetings with the Edinburgh Monarchs as we head rapidly in the Cab Direct Championship to the cut-off date for fixtures to be completed, with Edinburgh battling to get their place in the Cab Direct Championship playoffs. Can they do it? They've got a very busy week ahead, including a double header. We will hear from the Pac-Man very soon indeed on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. Now we're going to turn the attention to Thomas Jorgensen, of course, who is a bit of a British Speedway stalwart these days, but in 2023 riding for the Kings Lynn Stars and the Berwick Bandits. And it was with the Berwick Bandits that Thomas Jorgensen sustained his injury at the end of July. He fell awkwardly racing for the Bandits in a championship match at Edinburgh on the Friday night, and after lengthy on-track treatment, he ended up being transported to Falkirk's Forth Valley Hospital, where scans revealed he'd broken vertebrae in his neck and back. Goes without saying, this of course is a very serious injury, and Thomas was back at the track for the first time earlier than the last week or so, and Ryan Guest caught up with Thomas Jorgensen to talk about the injury and the road to recovery.
Well, Thomas Jorgensen, just over a month since that horrific crash for yourself now. First and foremost, how are you holding up? How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm getting there, thank you. It's a slow progress. It's the first meeting here today I'm at, obviously as a spectator. I've just been bedbound for a long time. I've still not managed to sleep in a bloody, well, I'll say bedbound, chairbound. I'm sleeping in a chair constantly. I can't even lay down on my back. And but yeah, it's this bit massive progress. You know, I'm up walking about and that, and I can't complain. You know, I'm lucky to actually be walking. You know, so. Yeah, it's been a month since the crash, so I just have to take the time and see how it goes.
Like you say, it's one thing being injured, being on the sidelines, but this is a lot more than that. It's almost life-changing, certainly in the short term.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as I said, I'm lucky to get away with what could have been life-changing completely. You know, this is only obviously permanent for a short while, and I just have to stick with it. And I'm having to wear this neck brace for 12 weeks. Already had it on for 4, so another 8 weeks to go. And I'm hoping to shave 2 weeks off. But that's just, I'm just hoping. You know, it's doing my heading a bit, this neck brace. And but I'm going for another CT scan next month, the 14th of September, and we'll see how that goes. I'm just gonna do a complete scan of my whole spine up to my neck, obviously, and then see how it's healing and that.
You say, it's a lot of support at home, which obviously right now you need, but also from the Speedway community. I know there's been messages galore and all sorts of donations raised as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Speedway world, when this happens, you all come together, and I can't thank everybody enough for it. And you know, it's a massive support, and not only financial but also the messages and that. It's hard to get back to everybody, and I think I've nearly finished it off now, texting everybody back. But I'm just grateful for all the support, you know. And not many sports you get this support. You know, some people. You know, it's a funny sport, but when it's like that, you know, we all stick together, and it's just been amazing.
And it about sums it up for your two clubs as well. It's been an injury hit year for both Kings Lynn and Berwick, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at Lynn, it's been, you know, now after I came off a week later, Nicola Clint came off and virtually did more or less similar with the neck injury as I had, and I think he's a bit better off, which is good. So and obviously at Berwick as well with Rory, and it's just been a season to forget, really. Personally, I've just been. I didn't think it could get any worse before my injury. I managed to just before the injury happened, I managed to get it going a bit and got my engines tweaked, and I sort of showed a few good results. Went to Edinburgh and this happened, so that was just a cherry on the top. Like I really didn't think it could get any worse, but obviously, it did. But we'll be back next year, and I'll definitely be back. I don't want to give up like this. I've obviously thought about it about half an hour. No, I did lay in the ambulance, and I thought, got to the hospital and that, and I think when you're in that much pain, you think, oh, this, you've had enough. But after a day or two, it's like somebody switched the light switch, and I had different thoughts about getting back as soon as possible, really. And obviously, I know it's gonna be a while yet, but season has come to sort of an end anyway. So I'm just focused on getting fully fit and recover for next year.
Well, Thomas, first and foremost, it's great to see you back trackside once again, and we wish you a full and speedy recovery.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Thomas Jorgensen, and still a long way to go, but it could have ended a whole lot worse. And best wishes to him and whatever the future has in store in Speedway, but he's desperate to get back. Now, on the subject of Edinburgh, loosely, of course, that might be where Thomas Jorgensen's crash happened, but Edinburgh Monarchs have also suffered themselves from injury, and that really hampering their efforts in the Cab Direct Championship. And that's where we turn now, because it's a big week ahead for the Edinburgh Monarchs, who do actually welcome back one key rider. Lasse Fredriksson makes a return after a lengthy spell on the sidelines, as the Monarchs go into 3 crucial home matches in the week to secure a place in the playoffs, and they couldn't come much bigger, really, because on the Wednesday they faced the Poole Pirates, and then a double header against their playoff rivals Plymouth and then Birmingham. So a big week in store, and I'm very pleased to say that joining us from the airport as he gets ready to jet in to take part in those fixtures is the Edinburgh Monarchs star Paco Castagna. Hiya, Paco. Well, thanks for joining us, first of all, in the airport. I know that you've not got much time because your plane's on the way soon, but it's a big week ahead for you. But just going back, I mean, you were going really well. You had this injury and you battled back to get yourself fit again in time for the Grand Prix race-off, and quite a big fixture to make your comeback in, really.
Yeah, well, to be honest, that was the main plan. That was the goal. In the moment that I got injured, obviously I wanted to get back to that, GP challenge after qualifying, not getting any wildcards or anything. Just qualifying was insane. It was the best result of my career. So, I wanted to get back for that meeting, and I did that. So it was absolutely beautiful. 2 months off the bike and only doing one meeting at Redcar the week before was obviously very difficult. Injuries can be they're never good. They can be bad and very bad, but they're never good. So I had quite a complicated injury that luckily didn't require any operation on it. So came back after a month and a half, say 2 months, and went to the GP challenge. Not expecting too much for myself, but just trying to go there and learn as much as I could, from that level of meeting.
So it's now on the flip side, heading into the Cab Direct Championship playoffs. Still not secure yet for the Edinburgh Monarchs. You do probably have the advantage going into them, but certainly a busy 48 hours ahead for you, with 2 meetings in one day as well coming up on Friday, which is going to be a big day.
Yeah, obviously now I'm actually at the airport waiting for my to board the plane. So busy. I'm happy because I wanted to get busy straight away after the injury, to get back to not 100% where I was before, because obviously that takes time. But I'm feeling good on the bike already after only like 3-4 meetings, and now we got one huge week for Edinburgh, trying to clinch the playoffs. And obviously, Wednesday, it's a very important meeting, but it's not most important of the week. Obviously, Friday is going to be hugely important. We need to win and try to clinch that spot for the playoffs. And then obviously we all know that once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
I know this is just the way that fate has dealt it, but it couldn't really be any bigger, could it, Paco? That you've got Poole Pirates on Wednesday, but then that double header against your direct rivals in the form of the Plymouth Gladiators and the Birmingham Brummies. It's all going to be sorted out on Friday night at Armadale in front of what no doubt will be, a big crowd, and the notorious home advantage the Monarchs have. You must be really relishing this.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You said it. I think I've never done a double header before, but Friday is going to be, high pressure, need to score points and need to win kind of situation. But on the other side, we race for that, and we prepare ourselves for that kind of meetings. I think that we had a fantastic news here that Lasse is going to be back in the team this week, and that's going to be hugely important for us. Obviously, he's gonna try on Wednesday and see how that goes, and then obviously, Friday is gonna be a big match. Well, two big matches, and again, as you said, to race against your direct rivals, that's making it even more interesting and giving us a bit more pressure. But on the other side, and we are expected to win.
I know that you've been out for a couple of months injured, but taking into account everything else that's happened to you this year, you must look back at this season as being one of the good ones because Italian champion again, you got to the Grand Prix race-off, you also have had appearances in the Premiership, you became a bit of a folk hero with some of the Belle Vue fans at one point, so there's lots of good stuff from this year to take away.
Well, to be honest, I think that so far, even with the injury, I think it's the best season I've had so far. During the whole lot of my career, I've done lots of big meetings, but it was a one-off, in 1 year and a one-off in another year. Well, this year it was very good. Starting from the first meeting, the Argentinian Championship, and then come back and straight away hammering it down and doing big meetings. I was doing good for Edinburgh before my injury. Open meetings around Europe, I was doing very, very well. I was in contact with Polish clubs as well, and then obviously the injury hit me. But I came back already, and again, I'm let's say virtually in the top 30 in the world, even if many people can say something against it. But when you qualify for meetings like that, that gives the right to say it. And in Europe, I've done well, and we just qualified for the European Pairs final as well in Hungary. I feel like I'm doing great, and I like what you said about Belle Vue. I love that place. I love the fans, to be honest, because they open the arms, as we say in Italy, to us and to me. So it was beautiful to go there and race and actually do well in my appearances there. And I really, really hope that Leo can give me a call back. And I feel like I want to be back in the top league. I want to race there. I never raced there in full league, so I want to be in a full season doing two leagues, Championship and Premiership. And I feel like I deserve it. I feel like I'm good enough to do it. So now I'm just waiting for the phone to ring.
I was going to say, really, next question. It's getting to this part of the season where teams are getting built now, and you're very much up for riding in both leagues.
Yeah, but as well, if you think about it, my average is perfect. I think it's perfect for a reserve sport. I think it's perfect for the championship. I'm doing okay. People know I'm capable, and just the fact that I had an injury in the middle that kind of blocked it. But I'm finding my feet. I'm feeling like I deserve it. So I'm just kind of waiting to see if somebody's going to give me a call. I would love. Just because I had an experience there, Lemo to give me a call back, because he's the one that gave me an experience first, gave me the first shot. So fair play to him for trying it, and I want to be back there. But there are many great clubs in the top league, so never happened before. So why not already from 2024, from the start of the season?
Yeah, I better let you go, Paco, because it sounds like they're calling you for your flight now, and I don't want the situation where it's could Mr. Castagna make himself known to the cabin crew, please, because your flight's about to depart. I think Alec Harkus would be beside himself if you didn't make it.
I tell you what, he's going to have nightmares in a minute if he knows I'm missing the plane. No, but yeah, I'm looking forward to a big week. I want to qualify for the playoffs with the team and just give back to the fans that have been very, very patient with us, with the injuries, with everything. They've been very patient all year. We've done very bad because of the injuries as well. So it will be great to give them something back by qualifying to the playoff and giving them, just a bit of success, which, I feel like qualifying to the playoffs is a great thing. So, let's board the plane. Let's go to Edinburgh and have a good week and see where that takes us.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Paco. Safe flight, and all the best for your busy week ahead for the Edinburgh Monarchs this week.
Appreciate it, and see you soon, mate. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers, Paco Castagna. Well, let's hear from the opposite side of the fence from one of those double-header fixtures on Friday. Of course, the Birmingham Brummies will be the final league fixture for the Edinburgh Monarchs on Friday after they've raced against the Plymouth Gladiators. And we can hear now from Stuart Dixon, the Birmingham team manager, who admits that things not necessarily have gone to plan so far, but it's not done and dusted just yet in the Cab Direct Championship. He's been speaking to Ryan Guest.
So Wednesday night, the final regular home fixture of the season for the Brummies against Plymouth as well. Obviously the playoff hopes looking faint and outside now, but nevertheless it would be great to go out on a high.
It certainly would be you want to, if it is to be our last match, Ryan, we certainly want to win it. The form's been indifferent, shall we say, since I come in. It's been, there's been a bit of inconsistency, and I think that's been a problem. We've strengthened up, but we've not strengthened up enough for my liking, without having a pop at anybody. But it was just tough to turn it to what I wanted. No, without trying. We were all trying. Myself, Nigel Lawrence, we're all working at it in the background. And unfortunately, we never quite got the personnel which we needed, which I felt we needed. But as you say, on Wednesday we've got a chance to get a win. If it is our goodbyes for this season, you want to finish with a win in front of your home support, and hopefully the home support will come out and cheer us over the line.
I was going to say, because it's particularly that home form which looks like it is going to prove costly, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. The problem being is, we have lost far too many fixtures. You go to Redcast to score 44, to go to Berwick and score, I think it was 50 points. We go to Berwick. We've had good performances elsewhere as well. But the problem has been, you can't be losing 80% of your home matches, and that's where the problem lies with Birmingham this season.
Yeah, I know you kind of understood the situation you were coming into at Birmingham, but nevertheless, has it been even tougher than you first imagined?
It has. I know there's no magic wand, but when I come in and we got the initial result against Berwick, I thought, but 1 week later, was it a Nick Morris situation, I think, which never helped. Certainly never helped, and I think that was upsetting for a lot of the team and for what happened that night with Nick as well. And Glasgow obviously destroyed us that night, but they maybe a bet us anyway, because I did think, even when I'm putting the team together, reshaping it a wee bit, that when I looked at 2 or 3 teams, and I thought they'll still be tough to beat. I do know my Speedway, and I know I'm not going to be kidding in that one, but it never helped. And what I did see was, it's funny how the conference, when it was drained, when then Poole came, I think, the following week, and try to get the lads back up, with some good, exceptional guest performances and some good performances on the road, a couple of decent performances. But it's just that it seemed to be that if we lose the first 3 or 4 heats, the confidence seems to really go through. And I was finding it difficult to lift the boys, because they're not daft, they can't be kidded, and if they're not comfortable with the track, it doesn't matter what I say, it's not going to make any difference. And you can say words to them, but they can suss you out if you really mean it or you don't. Riders are no daft. Well, some of them are not, you know what I mean?
Well, looking at the upcoming fixtures then in the Cab Direct Championship, Wednesday, it's a clash of the Birmingham Brummies up against the Plymouth Gladiators, Edinburgh hosting the Poole Pirates, and then on Friday, another busy evening with Edinburgh up against the Plymouth Gladiators, and then up against Birmingham in that double header that we've heard all about. A big one at Ashfield as Glasgow host Oxford in a clash that is set to potentially decide at least top spots in the Cab Direct Championship, and certainly decide who finishes where at the very top of the Cab Direct Championship. That fixture between Glasgow and Oxford will be live on BSN on Friday night. Scunthorpe versus Berwick also on Friday, and then on Saturday it's Berwick versus Plymouth. So a busy time ahead, rounding off on Sunday with Redcar versus Glasgow, a 5 p.m. start time at the Echo Arena there. So busy time ahead in the Cav Direct Championship as everything gets wrapped up and we head in towards the playoffs. In the next part of No Breaks, No Fear, we'll hear from Chris Morton after his mighty mission completed at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. He's on the way next.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Right now, we are joined by Speedway royalty in this final section. Chris Morton has undertaken an epic trip from the National Speedway Stadium in Manchester to Cardiff's Principality Stadium over the course of a few days leading up to the British Grand Prix and, of course, ending on the Saturday before the event itself. It was all in aid of the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund, and in doing so far, Mort's mighty mission has raised over £6,500. But still, it's not too late for you to help him on his ultimate mission to raise £15,000 for the charity dedicated to helping injured Speedway riders, both of the present and of the past as well. And we heard from Thomas Jorgensen just a few moments before, and you can hear the kind of help and the sort of things that these riders go through when the worst really does happen in Speedway. I'm pleased to say Chris Morton joins us now. Chris, I'm sure you're recovering well, but it was quite an epic mission, not just in distance, but also the terrain you were on as well. It was quite heavy work at points, wasn't it?
Yeah, hi Ian and all the listeners. I'm just in a bit of recovery at the minute, but getting over the longest ride I've ever done anyway. So it was, and Wales is well known for its hills, and we encountered a few of those, which at the time seemed to go on and on. You go round a bend and you think, oh no, it's still going up. And there was a few of those moments where you're thinking, whose idea was this? But, it's very pleased that we did it. It's helped the Ben Fund for awareness and funds. So sort of enjoyed it in a strange way, but also quite proud that we were able to do it as well.
So, whose idea was it then? Was it totally yours? Where did the whole idea for this mighty mission come about?
Yeah, it was completely my own idea. In fact, I don't know if you remember whether you covered John Curtis doing the walk from Ipswich.
Yes.
To the National to the Principality Stadium last year. Well, it was announced at the World Riders dinner in. Last year, it was announced that he'd done this and he'd raised some funds, and I just thought, well, is there something I could do? And I thought, well, I like cycling, maybe do a bit more and a bit of training. I could probably manage to ride from the National Speedway Stadium to the Principality, which seemed to have a kind of link in that one Speedway Stadium to. Permanent stadium to a temporary stadium. So it seemed like a good idea at the time, and turned out to be quite a good idea. But it was a tough old ride.
Yeah, and you were staying over in various places. I know you had at least one night camping out as well, didn't you? So you were sort of exposed to the elements throughout. So it was all a bit of an adventure from that point of view too.
Yeah, it was, and I didn't want it to, it don't want to be too easy, but I'm getting on a bit, so I decided that the best way of doing it would be to keep the distances reasonable, that were manageable, and so we were doing 70 miles a day, and as that worked out, I knew we need to get there for the Saturday, so leaving on the Wednesday, which gave us effectively 3 full days of riding, and on the Saturday, basically half a day, a bit of a romp really from Newport to Cardiff, and so we stayed at a hotel in Shrewsbury on the first night after having done what was 68 miles, 70 mile really. So that was on the first day. I thought it'd be a good idea to get a good bulk of it out of the way by doing 70 mile on the first day, which fitted in well with Shrewsbury. And it reduced down from 70, we did about 60 on the second day, and it was about 50 on the last day. But not knowing what hills we were going to be going over, it didn't. The fact that it was a little bit shorter didn't make it any easier, because it actually got harder, because on the last day there was a climb that was, I say the last day, on the day we got to Newport from Hay-on-Wye, there was a climb that was over 1,800 feet, 1,806 feet climbing. Which was quite a tough climb over. It was about 4 miles, so it was fairly steep. You sort of run out of gear and with gears, and on the smallest gear you can get, and also the legs are getting tired, so it gets tougher and tougher as the higher up you get.
Yeah, certainly so. And then you arrived at the Principality Stadium on the Saturday morning. I was actually walking down Westgate Street as you came flying down there all the guys as you arrived. As completely coincidentally, I was just approaching Paul Ackroyd. I could see him, and it's like, and he said, they're here now. And then there you came, and then you were in, and you did a lap of the track in the stadium as well, with Phil Morris waving the checkered flag.
We did, yes. That was great. I mean, I've got to say, that the support we've had from the organisers at Cardiff has been brilliant. And obviously Phil Morris, he's the main man who's in charge of running the show from our side. He was incredibly helpful, and Paco Castagna as well was in great full support of what we were doing. And so, because it doesn't really work without people like that get behind it, it becomes very difficult to get your point across. But as it was, the support from them was actually incredible, and very grateful for that. And so, it was a success. It was a tough ride, I've got to say, but still, it was a successful event.
Yeah, well, you've raised £6,500 up to this point, but of course it's it's still open, and any donations, however large or small, still welcome, and that's on the Just Giving page. If people search for Mort's Mighty Mission, you can donate there and support it. Tell us about the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund as far as you're concerned, though, Chris, and how perhaps you've seen benefit from it, either personally or with friends, because of course you started the whole ride off being accompanied by Ricky Ashworth, didn't you, around the track at the National Speedway Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, the Ben Fund, I don't know, I mean, it does more than I realised it does, because there's lots of riders over the years that have got injured in various ways. And what it manages to do, the Ben Fund, if you've got a rider who's got an injury and he can't ride for a few months, and he ends up with financial issues because of that, then it can help them get through to them starting riding again. And at the other end of the scale, as we know, there's lots of riders who suffered injuries that have meant that they can't ride again, and maybe made life difficult for them to adapt into the outside world, and so it helps those as well. We do, when we go to events, we see quite a few ex-riders who unfortunately they're in wheelchairs, and it gives those support. So just from what I've said there, you can see that it looks after a lot of people around in and around Speedway, and so because the thing is, once they've helped some of these people, their lives have to carry on, and so sometimes they will need a bit of further help on maybe changing things in the property where they live to help them be able to live the life as normal as possible. And so it is a fund that needs constant attention, money coming into it, because it continues to help the people that it feels that need the help, and that it wants to. The fund really wants to do the best it can for anyone who's been involved with Speedway and has suffered because of their desire to entertain and ride Speedway. Because we all come into it aware that it was dangerous, and hoping that it isn't going to be one. We are not going to be the one that gets injured, but riders do. I was very fortunate. I never had to call on the Ben Fund, but I had a few injuries, and I was perhaps fortunate not to have any major injuries.
Yes, and of course, a couple of examples this season. We've got Thomas Jorgensen at the moment, for example, on the sidelines, who suffered a broken neck, and he was back at the track on Monday night to watch on, which is fantastic to see. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got ex-riders, Gary Havelock, and also Alan Rossiter, two ex-riders, notable characters in Speedway who have had operations to help them in their conditions that have affected them, long after they've retired from the sport. So,
that's right, and that's something that I think the fund itself is very proud of the fact that it can help these people, and that comes from the public. It's a charity that's funded by Speedway itself, and so. Awareness of it is very, very important. That was one of the things with this. The plan was to try and raise 15,000. The Just Giving page doesn't show the full picture because there's other donations have been made directly as well. So we're still hoping that we can achieve our original target. But also the idea was to make people aware of what it does, and one, that it exists for a start. And that it's an essential fund for quite a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if everybody listening to this podcast donates £5, you'll absolutely smash that target right now.
Well, yeah.
So there you go.
That's what it needs. It does need that. It's we all enjoy watching our Speedway, and the guys that are doing it, some of them have to pay a price for that and aren't able to carry on. And it's and that's. I think we all have a bit of a responsibility to consider that these guys are taking risks for our entertainment.
Absolutely. Right, so we're Just Giving. You can Google it, Mort's Mighty Mission. You can donate that way or through the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund main website. They've got all the information there. Mort, before you go, obviously, let's just talk about the Speedway you've seen this season. At Belle Vue, of course, reigning champions, and they are assured of top spot now going into the playoffs. And it's looking like Leicester at this moment in time for Belle Vue in the semi-finals, it seems that Leicester, they need the aggregate point on Thursday, which they're 24 points up at this moment at time of recording. So,
so that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fairly decent, isn't it? So, looking forward to another strong finish.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I mean, Belle Vue are a strong team. There's no real weakness within the team. From what I've seen, I don't go every week, but when I do go and I follow the scores. Yeah, Belle Vue are looking very strong, very much like they were last year. So the playoffs are tough, though. It gives opportunity for some teams to kind of gather themselves together and put on a good fight. So yeah, there's nothing. It's not over until it's over, as they say. But Belle Vue, I imagine, are going to be going into it favourites.
There certainly will be, and I think, of course, Sheffield were previously perhaps considered favourites, losing Ty Woofenden and unable to get a replacement for him, even though he's trying to come back, I think, for the end of the season, but that is potentially a bit of an issue. On the subject of the National Speedway Stadium, you were involved in its development. We've seen this year, I think, in fact every year, I think, we've seen more and more lines open up, riders becoming more and more aware of the different things you can get out of it. We've been lucky to see some of the world's best riding it now. Currently, of course, you've got Dan Bewley as a Belle Vue ace, but now with riders like Emil Sayfutinov, we've had Laguta on there, Robert Lambert, and it must be fantastic to see the world's best really giving it a go around that circuit that you spent so long working out.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I mean, every time I go there, I just, I'm very impressed with the way it's ridden for a start, and it does for me. It does everything that I kind of intended for it to do, because it included in there. I mean, it just looks like a speedway track, but there's a lot of work went into the design of it and the profiles and the way way the different lines are. The different lines come from the way the banking is, and so for it to deliver the Speedway the way it does it makes me feel good about it, because we do. There isn't a meeting, I don't think, that goes by. Even sometimes, Speedway tracks sometimes are a bit flat. Flat as in, they don't create a lot of racing. But there's very rare you get a meeting at Belle Vue where there isn't a few fantastic races where you've got all 4 riders having a go. And yeah, it does develop good racing, which I like to see, as many others do. And it, built into that was the idea of making it so that I always thought rode on the principle that if you feel safe, then you will race and ride hard, and that's what I think Belle Vue is able to do, is allows riders who are racers to just concentrate on the racing and not consider too much about are they taking a risk or not. That I think we see them riding at their limit.
And I think, of course, the location being in Manchester, rain does affect things. But we've seen as well that the way that the drainage systems work, which is something that people probably won't pay much attention to. It sounds really dull, but it's been really, really important that, organisers such as Phil Morris, who's now overseeing the Premiership, but also when the major events have been there, Speedway of Nations, which, I don't know, potentially will be back at some point. That there is a higher threshold, a higher limit that you can get away with water, as we saw in the British final, where some other tracks probably wouldn't cope with that.
No, and that was again, when we were looking at how we were going to create this the Speedway track, went to a lot of different venues, and one thing that had always impressed me was which I know Manchester gets a bit of stick for rain, but Voyens is one that manages to run Speedway after having torrential downpours, and so we looked at their drainage system and the way that works, and that was one of the inspirations was how their drainage system worked, and so that's something that's quite important to have a very good drainage system. Otherwise, you end up with water laying on the track, creating bigger problems for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It works terrifically well, and well done for your work on it, and well done for the work with the Ben Fund and the Mighty Mission. Have you put the bike away now, or are you still pedalling away?
No, not at the moment. No, I'll probably I'll leave it a week for a ride again, just to give me a good chance to recover.
Good stuff. I think you've earned the rest. Have you got any plans to do anything else in future, do you think, or are you passing the baton
not
on
at the
now?
moment, but I would like to do something. I'll probably have a chat with Paul Ackroyd, and if there's we'll come up with some other idea.
Good stuff.
But yeah, we'll see.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks a lot for chatting to us, Chris. It's been great speaking to you as always, and well done for all the money you've raised so far for the Ben Fund, and more to come as well.
Thanks, Ian, and thank you to everybody for the support and all the the people that put donations into it. It's very much appreciated.
And once again, if you do want to donate to Mort's Mighty Mission, I'll put the link in the description of the podcast, so you can click on that and go there. But it'll be fantastic, whatever you can spare. But as I say, if everybody listens to this podcast through the course of this week, let alone this month, chips £5 in, then Mort will more than exceed his target. So let's see what we can do together. Just search online, Google Mort's Mighty Mission, Just Giving page, and that should come up. Or you can go to the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund webpage as well and donate from there. Rounding things up then before we go, just to talk about the National Development League. A few meetings happening through the course of this week. League leaders Oxford back in action at Cowley on Wednesday against Kent. Playoff hopefuls Belle Vue and Leicester meeting Manchester on Friday. Bit of a must-win, that one, for the Colts. And the Lion Cubs then face Workington in a double-header with league and cup business to attend to on Saturday. Mildenhall still chasing the top two. They host the Comets on Sunday. The same day sees Kent face Edinburgh at midday. It's a pretty chaos at this moment in time, with everybody catching up lost fixtures really from earlier in the summer when the rain affected the programme. So lots of Speedway ahead, and we look forward to rounding it all up for you next week here on No Breaks, No Fear. Reaction to who's made the playoffs. We'll also be partway through the Premiership Knockout Cup, the halfway point there between Sheffield and Ipswich, and much more to decide as well. And we'll talk all about it next Wednesday for the next episode of No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better at Aquavita. Visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.